Hey everyone, it's Riley here, and I recently just hit a eye-opening threshold when it came to my channel here and my time with the DFFOO universe. I just hit 300 subscribers, and I first of all want to say thank you to all of you who support this channel, who continue to support this channel, and I honestly could not and would not be doing this without all of you who support the channel and continually comment, like, tell me improvements, you talk to me in Discord. It's honestly been amazing, so thank you so much. And I figured for this kind of threshold that I've reached, I do something really special, and I want to basically go over the top 10 units that I personally use throughout the Lufenia era, as well as some Lufenia Plus. And I'm also going to dive into the top 5 characters that I regretfully did not invest in and put effort into. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into our list here. It's not in any particular order. That's definitely not the list that I just clicked. Here we go. Alright, starting off the list we have Bart's. I did actually not go for Bart's when he first came out. I'm not sure why, honestly, but I just chose not to, I suppose. When he came back recently with Lufenia Plus, I did go for his banner because I knew for sure I wanted him. Unfortunately, I did not get his burst. I did get the LD, but I had to pity it. But, you know, I got the LD, so it's not really all that bad. I definitely wish I got the burst along the path to pitting, but it is what it is. His LD only is amazing. His ores are great. Again, it would be better if you had that burst, but if you just have the LD, he's honestly good to go. His ore in peril is with the LD, so he's just overall a really good unit, and I enjoyed using him. I wish I pulled him sooner so I can have that enjoyment throughout Lufenia as well, but Lufenia Plus with him has been great, so I'm really thankful that the game... Well, I'm not sure why I'm thankful, because I had to pity it. Never mind, I take all that back. Alright. So, Porum. I honestly did not think I would ever invest in this character. She's not my favorite character, but she's a very enjoyable character. She first came out with Transcendence 3. Her LD debuted on that banner. And I did go for it just kind of for like a silly thing. There wasn't really a lot out during that time, and I was like, yeah, why not? I'll throw a couple tickets and see what I get. Well, I did get the LD, so I was like, oh, okay. Well, I invested in her and never regretted it ever since. Form is definitely the easy button. For Lufenia, definitely. And somewhat for Lufenia Plus. She's just overall good. She has great battery. She lasts a very long time. She's still lasting. So I definitely recommend for global players, if you're watching this, if she comes out and you're on the fence about, well, not if, she is going to come out. When she comes out and you're on the fence about her, you don't have a great healer, you don't have a great battery, she's definitely a good investment for you to have. Alright, now we have Setzer. So we're going to getting into the gritty details of how I obtained Setzer. I'm not one to say that wailing or whatever in that sense. I have no shame in saying that I do. I definitely love supporting this game. It's the only gacha game that I do thoroughly play and invest my time in. So I figure why not? It helps the devs out, it helps them create amazing content that we all enjoy. So, yes. And JP, for their anniversary, they came out with the LD token shop, but the only way for you to get inside the token shop was you had to pay. Which is kind of not good, to be honest. I wish they allowed a free-to-play player to also enjoy the LD token shop. But, you know, maybe they will do that later on. Who knows? But for now, we had to pay to get in there, so I did do that. And I honestly wanted to save the LD tokens for a rainy day, you know, when I needed a unit. I will go in and put those tokens in and just build the unit up. Well, Lufenia Plus came, and I'm not saying it's hard without Setzer. I'm not saying you need Setzer. But I am going to say he makes it less stressful. And who doesn't love a less stressful fight? So I got his LD, I built him up immediately, and I thoroughly enjoy him, honestly. He's a great investment to have. I definitely will be going for him in Global when he comes out. And I highly recommend that if you are missing this kind of character for your roster, that you give him a chance. He's really good. Alright. So now we get into Zidane, or Zidane, however you may pronounce it. And he is the only Burst Plus, because I can speak English, that I have. Now, I actually wasn't going to go for his burst when it first came out. I 100% was invested in Y'shtola because I do want to have her kit. I have her LD, but that's near here or there. We're talking about Zidane. So, Zidane, thankfully, gave me his burst, like, I think one multi after the freeze, so I was like, alright, we're going for Zidane. Zidane. I feel like I just said... Anyway. I'm jumbling my words here because this is not scripted. It's just me thinking on the fly, so I do apologize if I sound rambly or jumbled. It's just, you know, me and you guys talking, that's all. So, I invested in his kit. He's amazing. He's a great character to have if you don't have that DPS/DPS... I just said the same thing twice. This is exactly what I mean. DPS/debuffer that you may be missing on your roster. He fills that role perfectly. His damage is great. You wouldn't necessarily think he does that good damage, but he does. And he's really good at it. So I'm highly grateful that I was able to invest in him with minimal resources used. Alright, now we have Paladin Cecil. So for Paladin Cecil, I honestly wasn't going to go for him when he first came out, but the fight had HP reduction ignore, which makes no sense because Paladin Cecil has HP reductions in his kit, but the point of the fight mostly was to overheal or to just kind of get a really big heal off, so then you just brush off the damage, or shields, either one. And, well, maybe, I think it bypassed shields, I'm not sure, but I know it did bypass HP reduction. Anyways, I ended up going for the burst because of that, and the LD. And I did get the LD on his banner, but I got the burst on a different banner. So I came back to the event and completed it then. But I love Paladin Cecil mostly for the 50% brave damage increase for the party. You don't really understand how good that is until you don't have it. So trust me when I say brave damage is the way to go. And Paladin Cecil is a great unit to have if you're missing a character that does give you that party aura for a brave increase. He's definitely a great unit to invest in. Alright, so we have Noel here, and sorry for that pause. I don't know why I paused there. But we have Noel Christ, and obviously I love him because he's Final Fantasy 13. And when his LD came out, it comes out way later. And I wish it was sooner, but that's okay. I'm not gonna complain. For what he does it really well. He re-breaks, he breaks, he does the gravity with his brave attack, excuse me. And he's just an overall really great character. His LD animation, I wish was a little bit more, like, well thought of. He literally just does Blitz and then his EX. And that's basically it. Now, I know his LD is a made-up move, so hey, they tried. But I love the love that they did give him, because without his LD, like if, let's say for example, we were still waiting on his LD, I would probably feel really disappointed. But I'm glad it's here, and I definitely enjoyed using him in Lufenia, because after he came out, I was using him everywhere. He was all over the place. He may not have been in any of my recorded fights, but trust me, off the camera, he was being used. Alright, so now we have Garland. And I honestly wanted to go for Garland the minute he came out. He came out with the debut of 7 LD, I believe. Which is also a good LD if you need that. But I ended up getting the, no, not LD, Burst on a different banner. So I had to come back to his event and completed it with his Burst. Garland is absolutely nuts. I love his aesthetic. I love everything about him. He is the kind of person that I would want on my team at all times, just because he's that crazy, authentic person that you want on your side. Like, he's laughing when he's like just destroying things. That just to me is like, all right, that's awesome, but chill, bro. But needless to say, he's great. I'm pretty sure there was one video that I did see him being used in Lufenia Plus, and I think it was Alfie, if I'm not mistaken. But correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. But I'm pretty sure it was Alfie that used him, which is great. Whenever I get a chance to use him, I'll definitely be bringing him, because his auras with his burst are absolutely nuts. And I just love his aesthetic. Everything about him is great. Alright. We have Goldberg next. And I can see Alfie and Garland, OP, CP, if you don't know who that is, cackling as I'm going through this character, because I think they are the only two who know the truth behind Goldberg. So, well, now all of you will know as well. So basically what happened is Alexander Divine Illusions came out, and Alfie had asked me if I was going to pull for Goldberg, and I said, nope, not doing it. My roster is good enough. I'll just go in there and do the fight. I don't need Goldberg. Well, Alexander had a different plan for me, because he completely obliterated any of the teams that I put in there. So I said, screw this, I'm not going to deal with this headache. I bought the costume because, well, it's a good costume. That's not a bad thing. But I bought the costume in order to help me pity. And I had to pity his LD. I did get the burst along the way, so that's basically, you know, what you want in that scenario. You don't want to go past 300. So I went back in there, did Alexander, and wiped my hands with it. But Alfie will never ever let me forget the day that I told him absolutely not, and went behind everyone's back and pulled anyway. So yeah, there's that. Alright, now we have the queen herself, Lightning. And I have two different stories to tell you guys. So on JP, I actually streamed her event back when I was on Twitch. I'm still on Twitch, but just not active. But basically I got her LD with tickets, and I was able to token her burst, so I was good to go. Built her up, been using her ever since. However, if you look on Global, I only have her LD. I didn't really get her burst at all, and I'm really sad about that. But that's okay, because even with her LD only, she's still a great DPS unit. She does the damage perfectly fine, and she has no problem showing how the new DPS units, how it's done. Alright, so last but not least, we have the man himself who deserves his own page. It's Sid Reigns. And I don't want to say that I like Sid Reigns more than I do Lightning, but I'm not going to say it. And you'll never get me to. Just like Lightning and Sarah. But anyway, Sid Reigns is my #1 Husbano of all time. Of all Final Fantasy games, he is #1. And if I had to do kind of like a top 3 on the fly, it'd probably be Ignis, Vincent, and Sid Reigns at #1. When he was first kind of given the, you know, OP video where he was coming next, the pictures, I literally was watching TV, scrolling through my phone, and screamed. My boyfriend was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Nothing, it's about the game." And it was just a great time. I recorded everything, my reactions, all of it. I love Sid Reigns. I honestly did not think he would be put into the game. Not because he doesn't have a following or because he's just kind of like ill-forgotten into the world of Final Fantasy 13. It was just because I thought he was a pretty kind of different pick. Like, if they were gonna pick someone on the Fal'Cie side, I would assume it would just be Martanilus because he was the, you know, top dog. He was a bad guy. But they chose Sid Reigns. Now, that's not to say later down in the road they might bring in Martanilus. I hope they don't, because I want Sid to get his burst. Sid will get the burst, and that's that, period. But I love Sid. His mechanic in this game, where launching is his thing, is nuts, busted, broken, OP, all the words you can think of. That is what he does. And pairing with Aphmau or Setzer is going to give you the biggest grin on your face ever, because nothing will be able to stand in your way. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. But that is my list for the top 10 characters that I enjoy using throughout the Lufenia and Lufenia Plus era thus far. I'm sure I will use these characters as the time frame moves on, but for Lufenia, mostly, those are the ones that I enjoyed using. So now we're going into the list of the top 5 characters that I regretfully did not invest in, and it's going to be Camelina. Now, on Global, I did invest in him because I learned my lesson. Basically, his call ability is absolutely amazing. It gives Brave back to the caller, and he's just overall a good unit. His auras are good, he is good, his damage is great, his debuffs are good, everything about him is great. I'm not really sure why, like, I didn't invest in him in JP. Like, I'm not sure what my thought process was at the time, but when he came out the second time, or should I say the third time, it was with Y'shtola, I believe. I believe it was with Y'shtola. Pretty sure it was. Or was Y'shtola with Kuja? One of those two. And basically I went for the other character. Like, I went for Y'shtola, or I went for the other character at the time. Because it just, it was just more reasonable for me. Like, if I had to go for Cam, I would have to go for everything, not just, you know, the LD or whatever. I have to get his whole kit. So that was probably just more my reasoning with him. Alright, so at first glance you might say, this is fully built, what are you talking about? But if you really look, you'll notice that I have 3 character boards where it should say M for Mastery. So I don't have Kadaj's LD. And I'm pretty sure Kadaj came out during Alexander, like during that farming time frame. And I literally blew all my gems, all my tickets, everything was blown on this banner. And I did not get the LD. So heavy disappointment. Kadaj is amazing. I never expected him to be this good. I was gonna pull from anyway because he's Final Fantasy VII. And if you notice on his little tag there, it says Final Fantasy VII AC, which means he is part of the Final Fantasy VII universe for that particular era. So maybe he's a burst candidate? Question mark? I don't know, but we'll see. If that happens to be the case, his Lost Chapter is also coming around the corner, which I hope the second LD for that event will be, I believe it's Maria and Alice, and I hope Alice is the one who's picked, of course, but I think either one would be great. I wouldn't mind Maria, and I wouldn't mind Alice, to be honest. But he is going to be the prize for me, because Kadaj is amazing. He doesn't do the great amount of damage, but for what he does it really well. And I miss the fact that I wasn't able to fully invest in him. I really do. He's just kind of sitting there with his weapons purpled, with his high armor, with his fully spears. And I'm just like, I don't have the LD. Sorry about that. My phone decided to black out, but we're back. Basically, I don't have Kadaj's LD, and I wish I did, and I know I will be investing him on global. But with that being said, let's go ahead to the next one, which is going to be Lael. Again, you might think that the character is fully built, but second glance, you'll notice that I have 3 character boards, and I don't have his burst. Now, when he first came out, I wasn't going to go for him because I had keys, and I didn't really need him. At least that's what I thought. That kind of contradicts what they do great together. Having Lael and Keys on the same team is amazing. They do really well together. They complement each other really well. And I wish that I invested in that banner when that time came around, because my launch teams that I do make time to time, especially with Sid, would really complement well with Lael. So that's unfortunate for me. I will be going for him in global though, that's for sure. So we have Kyran here. Funny story about Kyran is that I did get his EX previously in JP. I ended up selling it, unfortunately, for the ingots. I needed it at the time. He came back during X-Death. I was going to fully go into him. I ended up getting X-Death really early, and I just said, you know what? Not gonna do it. So I didn't get everything for him. I did get his EX back. Unfortunately, I didn't get the LD, which is a bummer. He has great battery. He has great auras. He's just a good kind of bot to have on your team. You're just gonna sit there and support the team. So I really wish I had his kit in JP. I do have it in global, so I know I'll be able to enjoy it when X-Death comes around again. And last but not least, we have Grandpa himself, Strago. I'm not really sure what it is about his banner specifically, but it's just like he doesn't want to give me anything. On global, he gave me nothing. On JP, I got his EX because I was going for Ashe, and I got his kit, but I didn't get the LD. Now, when I had the tokens for the LD, he honestly was a candidate for me to spend the tokens on, because he is so heavily underrated. It's honestly kind of ridiculous. He busts out damage like nobody's business, and if you watch Stimpy or Alfie's video on him, they showcase him so well, and I just wish I had him. I really do. But with that being said, guys, those are my top 5 regrets. My top 10 characters that I love, especially for the era of Lufenia, and that's pretty much it for the video. But thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Thank you again for the support, guys. Again, I wouldn't be here without all of you. I wouldn't be learning how to make better content, learning editing, and all of this without you guys showing me your support. So thank you. With that being said, guys, I'll catch you next time.